Let's talk anime. Hello and welcome to Brandon's Discuss Anime, a Reckless Remember podcast. I am your host, Brandon Horvath, and with me are my co-host, Brandon Falinger.
I look, man, and if I start ranting during this one, alright, just know that it could be way worse. We could be going into Casherin Sins levels here. We haven't quite reached that yet.
Different opinions, I guess. We'll get into what I mean by that later, but also with us, Ryan Stokely.
That's me. I'm here.
So, anything to discuss, guys? Again, I really have nothing.
Actually, I ate 40 pizzas in the past 30 days.
Explain.
Wait. Hold on. Is that whole pizzas or slices?
I don't know. Why don't you ask Papa John, who ate 40 pizzas in 30 days?
Are they personal pizzas?
About that.
No, they're probably full pizzas. He's going through a rough time. He looks like he's sweating pizza out. I don't know if you guys have seen the interview, but he looks like he's just sweating grease out.
Did he just open up, lift up his arm, and there's just giant pepperoni slices just attached, growing there?
He said that the day of reckoning is coming, and he won't say what he's going to do. I feel like he's going to shoot up Papa John's, or possibly, shoot up Domino's.
Well, didn't he sell off the brand or something, or half?
Yeah, he's no longer with the company.
I forget what it was, but I remember he was forced to, I want to say.
Also, his voice is really deep compared to that commercial that he talks on.
Why doesn't he just, become a voiceover guy for freaking movies and shit?
I don't know. I think his
voice is that deep. He'd be pretty good.
I think he's pretty. He's pretty canceled.
I mean, if I remember right, it's probably because of the shit he did. I just don't remember what it was.
Oh, he
was bad.
During a conference call, he just dropped the N-bomb.
Yeah, no, that would do it.
Yeah.
Like it or not, that's not something you say.
Mm-hmm.
At least not in public like that. In your private life, sure, whatever. I don't think anyone's going to give too much of a shit, but...
Yeah. And, yes, that's basically what crazy shit I've seen this week. It's in, some kind of cryptic message.
So, the last time we were on, we said that, hey, cool, the next time we get on, we'll be able to discuss this thing. So, Orion, what have you heard about the Stadia launching?
Oh, yeah. It's launching with games that are already free to play.
Uh-huh.
There's not really any exclusives. You need a lot of bandwidth.
Uh-huh.
It's just a really bad idea. I don't think we have the technology for it, to be honest, yet.
The infrastructure isn't there, no.
Yes. It is a good idea, but it is not. Yeah, it's too soon for that. And I also think that Google won't keep it around.
Oh, no. I guarantee within a year this is just dead.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, right? And it's not even just... The idea is good if it was used in the correct way. In this case, it's not. Because not only are you paying for a subscription to even use Stadia to begin with, you're then paying full prices for games that are over a year old.
Exactly.
And on top of that, like you're saying, we don't have the infrastructure for it. It's fucking every time somebody tries to play the thing, the lag is so bad, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, they have Mortal Kombat 11 on there, which, if you know anything about fighting games on the internet, any kind of input lag puts you at a heavy disadvantage.
The thing is, right, when it comes to, the worst part is it's not even consistent. I was seeing a Washington Post article, and they had a GIF of the guy testing it, where he'd tap the button to jump, and the guy would jump like just fine on the first one, but then he'd tap it again, and he has more than enough time to turn to the camera, lift up his hand like what the fuck, and then turn back, and then the character jumps. And that was on Destiny 2, I think. And he's running off of like the best internet available.
Jeez.
And then he had like a 300 megabyte, I think, download or whatever, or maybe even upload at his own personal place, and he has had the same results where it's completely inconsistent.
So it's better than Disney Plus launching.
I mean, Disney Plus is its own trash fire.
I don't know. I have Disney Plus. I have no issues with it. Like I guess the shows that people are mad about, I don't watch. So, like I've been watching X-Men, Gargoyles,
I mean, it's fine over here, except for in some cases, and I don't know that like how much of this it's affecting, but there are shows where it's just like all the episodes are shuffled and not in the order they need to be. And on top of that, it's only available in certain countries, but they've pulled all of the shows from all the other services in countries where Disney Plus is not available as well.
Oh, dang.
So these people just can't watch anything Disney anymore.
Yeah.
Until Disney Plus eventually shows up there, if it ever does.
Oh, that's not good.
So far, the only bad thing I heard about it is the Simpsons episodes. Or like the ratio's off or something, so some stuff like might be cut out.
Oh yeah, they're putting up the edited ones that won't hurt people's feelings.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
I think it's just like the Michael Jackson one.
Well, that one's just not even available at all.
Yeah.
Whereas the other episodes are edited in certain ways to like cut out the insulting bits. See, this is the problem with like having subscription services like this. They're getting to be so many of them at this point that cable's actually becoming more reasonable. And then on top of that, you're also making piracy seem way easier. And the minute you do that, nobody's going to pay for your services. Nobody's going to buy your shit.
Yep.
Like, when you make piracy the more convenient option, you have failed in your pursuit of business.
Well,
Yep.
I kind of feel better about myself now that I've noticed Toho is on Steam. Not their older games. I think 13 and onwards is on Steam, and since I didn't know how to really get a Toho copy beforehand, even if they would sell them online, like I don't know if they would sell them only at the convention. I have about like 4 or 5 quote-unquote pirated games. Me living in America, I'm not.
Well, sorry, go ahead, finish up.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if that was the only way they were available to me. But now that they're on Steam, I feel like it's my duty, after loving these games, to finally buy one.
Well, see, that's the argument for a lot of other things. Like, for instance, games that were like out on, say, like out in arcade, let's just say, where it's like you have those brand deals or whatever, where it's like, hey, we're going to work with you and we're going to put this character in here and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. But then, that breaks apart, that contract or whatever expires, and then the game's never available again, right? Literally, your only way is to pirate the game because it's not available anywhere else. There is no other way to pick it up. You have to pirate it. And that was the case for a lot of like old NES games too, that were just, kind of obscure that people really liked or whatever. It's like, the game I have either A, doesn't work anymore, B, I don't have, an NES to play it on, and they're not readily available anywhere. And the only option at this point is like, well, they don't sell it. They don't sell the console. The game's very hard to find anyway, and if it's like a super rare one, it's gonna end up being like $100-some or whatever to find or buy again. Obviously, your only option then is like, well, I gotta pirate it. What else am I gonna do? There's no other way to get this game outside of ludicrous prices and a secondhand market. That's it.
And speaking about contract expiring, didn't they have a version of NES Punch-Out without Mike Tyson?
Yes.
I want to say yes.
That was after the whole thing with him fighting Evander Holyfield's era.
And I did find a very brief, weird thing to bring up. In Japan's Ibaraki Prefecture, 15 metric tons, 33,000 pounds of sweet potatoes were stolen. Nobody knows who did it or why as of this recording.
What was it that was stolen again?
15 metric tons of sweet potatoes.
Oh, I know exactly who took those.
Okay, who?
Well, Orion won't know this, but it was Ibaraki Doji, clearly, because it's in the Ibaraki Prefecture, and she loves her sweets. The Banana Oni stole it. She was very hungry, and there were sweets available.
Yeah, I've been having issues with Fake Go, so...
Have you not been able to, like, pull it up and get your code, or no? Like, has it been crashing before you got the chance to get there, or...?
Yeah, so I keep trying, but yeah, I use BlueStacks to save space on my phone, but it just seems like that may not have been the smartest idea. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it might be worth just looking up, BlueStacks fake Go crashing too, just to see if anyone else is having the same problem. Yeah. Oh, by the way, before we start, one last thing to mention, and this is actually fake Go, and you reminded me of it. They're doing an advent calendar for December.
Oh.
So every day that goes by in December, you're getting free gifts, and I don't know what they're supposed to be, but apparently whatever the last one is on the 25th is something big.
Wait, what's going on?
Fake Go having an advent calendar. Free stuff.
Big old campaign, one free item per day, which, for all I know, is like a stack of just random shit.
Yeah, I would say Fake Go is a pretty fun game, and you might want to get into it, Orion.
I don't really play mobile games.
Okay.
Join the cult, Orion. Neither do I. Literally, it's only been that one, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, and I used to play Pokemon Go, and then I just got really bored of it. I brought it back like last year around this time, and I got bored with it within a few months again.
Mm-hmm.
The only other game I have been playing has been like the new Five Nights at Freddy's on mobile. And while that's fun, my biggest gripe is with the way you get shit. You can send out an animatronic that you have, and, over the course of whatever time period, it gathers up scrap. And scrap is a currency. Scrap is used to also, like, repair your animatronics, which, degrade over time. And then it only allows you to buy like 2 items out of the shop, and both items are kind of like not great. Everything else is the premium currency, which are like Faz coins. And I think there's one more. No, there's not. I'm wrong. But it's mostly Faz coins, which are a premium currency, which I don't want to buy because it's kind of ridiculous how much they cost. Like, because they're doing the same thing as everyone else and being like, hey, you can pay like $100 and we'll give you like a shit ton. Yeah, right? You want it, right? And I'm just sitting there like, no, fuck off. Like, you're not offering me anything that's worthwhile. Like, to be fair, the best they're offering is customization for the animatronics, which technically you can just get by playing the game. The only other thing that you can buy that's there is like a second, or not a second, like you get a max, I think, of like 6 slots per animatronics. 5 you can get through just playing the game, and the 6th one is you have to pay. So that's not the worst. The problem is I just don't see the end goal of this game. There is no end point. It's just continuous boring, and I feel like I'm going to uninstall it within a few weeks. Like, there's nothing that's really keeping me drawn in. I mean, I guess there would be, because you can send those animatronics to, like, attack your friends. But I don't have friends, so what the fuck good is that to me?
Are there, like, clans or anything?
Not as far as I know. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be, like, special events or whatever where they eventually add in more of the animatronics, because right now I think there's only, like, 7 available at the moment. Out of, like, I don't know, a total of, like, a lot. Because at this point, Five Nights at Freddy's is just pumping these things out like crazy. I'm sure they're going to be adding more of them.
Yeah, I thought there was only, like, 3.
It started off as 3, well, 4 technically. But right now there's only 7 that are available in this game, but there are a shit ton of actual animatronics that have appeared in the games.
Because there's like 6 main games?
At this point, I think 6 is correct. Might be 7 if we include the VR one. What's that?
Ultimate Custom?
I think that was part of a different one. I think that was part of 6. I think it's 7 if we include the VR one, and now with this phone AR version, it's 8. And then there's like FNAF World, which who the fuck knows if that's even anything at this point, or if it's a random spin-off.
So let's discuss our animes of this week. Because
oh my god, are we in a labyrinth?
Once again, we are doing Hayaku anime, or quick anime.
Volume 2, right? I think
yes,
that's what we were
volume
using.
2.
Volumes?
And I believe Haiku means quick or short.
Quick or hurry or along those lines, yes.
Because all these animes are less than 10 minutes per episode. So they could be watched in a fast amount of time. It was originally going to be anything 5 minutes or less, but one of ours kind of treks into the 7 to 8 minute category sometimes.
That's only for one season, too.
I think.
If it's the one that, if I'm thinking of the same one that you are, it was only the first season that was trekking into that point. The second season was down to like less than 5.
Definitely not then.
Okay, so we're not on the same page. There's a different one that you're thinking of that I'm not.
No. Let's start with Gregory Horror Show. Orion, quickly, since we're going to do 3 of these, what do you think Gregory Horror Show is about?
Real quick, I think it's about a circus that moves into town, maybe. Kind of like, what's that? Man. Something Wicked This Way Comes, but anime version of that.
I haven't seen Something Wicked This Way Comes.
It's about a circus that moves into town, and basically the guy, like, they're basically taking souls of people.
Oh, so yeah. I would say maybe 5% because there is some soul taking involved.
So
okay, so this was a 3.5 season series, and we're only going to be discussing the first one because all in all, it's about 88-ish episodes, but the first season is 25 roughly 3-minute episodes, and the plot is this man is wandering through the woods. We don't know in the beginning really why, and he stumbles upon Gregory House, a hotel run by a anthropomorphic mouse named Gregory, who invites him in to stay a while. And he meets all these weird situations. It's not outright scary. It's a little bit more creepy. And this guy needs to eventually regain his sanity enough that he can escape. And the interesting thing is, it's primarily first person. So you are the main character.
Well, let's also point out, too, that this is, like, early 2000s CG, so it also doesn't look good, which doesn't help with, like, the fact that this isn't scary. Like, it's creepy, don't get me wrong, but the early 2000s CG doesn't really help the situation. Like, were this animated traditionally, or currently, it'd probably be a lot more disturbing. Because, like, there are characters you run into that literally have axes in their heads with bloody bandages wrapped around them.
Oh, I have a headache. I've been having this headache for years.
I think if this was done correctly, they could totally have gone for like an almost The Ring level of disturbing and creepy, or not even The Ring. No, The Ring. Yeah, The Ring was the Japanese one. That's right. No, I'm correct. I think
Are you thinking about The Grudge?
The Grudge was the one that I was thinking of that was more American. Yes.
Well, The Grudge is also Japanese, but I forget the Japanese name for it.
Mm-hmm. Either way, they could have totally nailed like the Japanese horror levels with this. Is my idea. Like, it's not animated badly or anything. Like, I enjoyed this actually going through it, and like there were those moments where it's like, what the fuck, man.
And you chuckle a little bit now and then too, because it does have dark humor.
Yes, there's some dark humor in there, and then there's just random shit like somebody getting like literally flushing themselves down a toilet, where it's just straight up, what the fuck is even happening?
So
Like,
who was your favorite character in it? Or favorite guest?
I'm trying to like run through the characters in my head right now because we don't spend a lot of time with any of them. That's the only downside. The only one that really sticks around a lot is Gregory himself, and Judgment Boy. But Judgment Boy just has the same shtick every time. Not to say it's bad. It's the same thing.
I just love Judgment Boy's hamminess.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I couldn't find it in Japanese anywhere. I would love to have heard the Japanese voice acting for this just to see if it was more hammy, because this is early 2000s like dubbing, so we're trying to make it more Englishy. I'd be really curious what the Japanese was like.
Yeah, I couldn't find it either. I was looking hard.
Because it could have been really creepy, depending on like even the deliveries of the voice acting, right? Because most of them were hammy to some degree. If it was super fucking creepy, I think that could easily have changed the entire like perspective of the show. But yeah, favorite character. I mean, I guess Neko Zombie. I guess probably tied with Gregory. I think both of those two are probably the best ones. Like, I like Neko Zombie's backstory, assuming it's even true, because Gregory could have just been bullshitting the whole time.
Or he could have done it.
I mean, yeah, he could have done it, but I feel like he would have also been bullshitting. Like, the cat just came in here, and all of a sudden, he's turned into the man in the iron mask. He's got his face and his eyes sewn shut and his mouth sewn shut and shit.
Oh, and do you remember the cactus gunman?
Yeah, you mentioned him. I remember not realizing he was a cactus. He just green. That's all I got out of him. And he was, Mexican.
I did see that he does have a sister that shows up in season 2.
Okay.
And there is a PlayStation 2 game of this.
Yeah, see, I saw that, and at first when I realized this was a first-person thing, I'm like, wait a minute, am I watching the game? Am I getting the right thing here? Because with it being early CG, I was like, am I watching the right one? Because they look like papercraft. Yeah, Orion, if you've seen, like, how people tend to make, like, Minecraft skins out of paper and stuff, like, little...
Yeah.
That, they literally kind of remind me of that, with the way the CG's done. Like, it's very simple shapes.
It's very blocky.
Yeah.
Any questions about this, Orion?
Not really. Sounds interesting. And these are short series, so you can just watch them in like an hour.
Mm-hmm. The max of these that we've seen have been like 2 hours at most to watch the whole thing. Okay. Gregory, if you're going to watch the entirety of the series, it might push 3 hours, 4 hours maybe.
Yeah, because
but that's 3.5 seasons worth.
Yeah, season 1, 2, and 3. I'm not too sure about the half season, but they're up on YouTube. They're about an hour 3 minutes each, so you can watch the entire adventure of one of the guests in the course of an hour. Season 1 deals with a man, season 2 deals with a woman, and season 3, Gregory decides to go on vacation and has a weird adventure where he keeps running into everybody from the hotel, along with a few new characters.
I mean, considering the way that one seems the weirdest to me, because just considering the way that the series has set things up, it feels like nobody should be allowed to leave ever.
Slight spoiler, my favorite guest from the third season is this chicken who goes, "Hey, I used to be nothing, but now I'm having a new job, and all I do is eat. It's the best job." He's going to a chicken processing plant.
You know, I was really hoping you were going to tell me he was working in, like, a KFC restaurant.
As the meal.
I wasn't even going to say that. He was the guy doing the cooking.
That would have been darker.
That's why I would have wanted it to go there. I want it to be dark like that.
And the half season, which I didn't see, deals with the lizard nurse who has a...
Oh god, that's right. I forgot about her.
She has more than a fetish for blood.
Literally, every time she opens her mouth, it's like some kind of seductive sounding phrase. And on top of that, she's got a really big needle.
And this came out in 1999 until 2003. So, it's about that time when, like Brandon was saying, like, early CG, very blocky, but, yeah, I would say it's aged well for the style of animation it is. If it tried, tried to make it a little bit more normal looking, I would say maybe it wouldn't have aged well then.
Yeah, they went with a more cartoony aspect to it, and that's what saves it from, like, being the horrible, like, 3D monstrosities that some of the old ones are. You can't watch Transformers Beast Wars and be like, those look really good still. You see her at that and you're just like, oh my god, I can't believe I watched this. I'm terrified.
I just saw Cinemassacre did a thing about Spawn, the movie, the live action movie, and I haven't watched it in a while. And I forgot how crappy like hell looked, and the devil was absolutely awful. This is like PlayStation.
At least Reboot looked better than Beast Wars, right?
Yeah,
it looks better. I'll argue that like the first season, some of the animations are really stilted. Like I remember there's a point where like Enzo like tries to spin the cap on his head, and it's just like somebody spinning a screw. Like it's just staying perfectly in place, and it looks really weird. Like don't get me wrong, they totally learned as they were going, but that first season is a bit. It's a bit hard to watch just because the animations aren't great. The models look fine. The models can go done perfect. It's just the animation's a bit below grade, I want to say. Basic, maybe? Yeah, basic would probably be the best way to put it, actually. Because I remember learning, like, 3D animation in high school, and I remember having, like, the commands and stuff to make the model do what you wanted it to do, and it was just some of the most basic, hard-to-watch things, you know, you could do with it, because it was so limited at the time.
On to the second one. Oh boy, Brandon. Kaiju Girls!
I thought you were going to save that one for last so I could rant.
No, we're going to end it with something to make you feel a little bit better about yourself. Because you did really like this one.
I don't hate myself about it. I have plenty of legitimate issues with this one.
Ryan, Kaiju Girls. What do you think this is about?
This is basically just Godzilla in a dress. And
he summons a magic wand and just starts tapping buildings with it.
Yeah, it's like the Powerpuff Girls or something with Godzilla.
The sad part is he's not wrong. Not from the plot standpoint, but from style standpoint, he's not wrong. Because literally, they have that really thick outline on the outside of the character, and then it's fine lines on the inside of the character. Like, the art style is totally Powerpuff Girls. Like, original Powerpuff Girls. just with more complex shapes.
Oh, okay. The plot of it, and you are not 100% wrong, but kind of with Godzilla in a dress, but humans...
We're getting there. Don't worry, there's more seasons coming, unfortunately.
Humans and kaiju used to be enemies, and now all the kaiju are dead, but they've been resurrected as humans. Girls, and they must use their inner monster to fight evil via an organization called Girls.
Ugh.
And something interesting that I found out, the three main girls were all from the 1967 series Ultra 7.
Wait, what?
Yes, the three main girls who were once monsters were from the 1967 series Ultra 7.
This is like canon in this anime? Wait, are we talking about the anime or are we talking about another show now?
No, we are talking about Kaiju Girls.
So they're like based off another show
Yes.
in the show?
Well,
Were they based... The anime was
the anime...
inspired?
Yes, the anime is based off of...
Okay. Okay.
Yes, it's based off of the Ultraman franchise, and that's where all these monsters come from.
Got it. Ultraman's cool, though.
Alright, look. Here's your plot. It's, oh hey, there's a monster or something. Let's do a Sailor Moon transformation that will reuse every episode and beat them with, like, the most minimal of effort.
I don't want to say it's Monster of the Week. Granted, it gets that way in the second season, but it's more like it's building up to something. And I feel the second season had more plot than the first season did.
Oh yeah, no, second season totally did. I'll give that to you. The problem is, it's still the same formula. It's building up to something with, like, it's the same thing as fucking, like, Power Rangers, where it's like, oh cool, we're gonna build up to eventually taking down Rita Repulsa. But it's the same thing still. My problem with this is the story is bland as fuck. It feels the same every time. And obviously, this is probably not meant to be watched and binged like this. It was meant to be in between shows. So that's probably part of the problem. The animations are fucking garbage because literally the vast majority of them are maybe like 3 frames at most. You can literally see it by watching any of the background characters, which are just like fucking cardboard cutouts that have a 3-frame animation walk cycle. Left foot forward, then standing straight, then right foot forward, then standing straight, then left foot forward again. Every single thing is like 3 frames. The plot doesn't make sense in, like, the history of the world. How the fuck are the kaiju dead? What happened? Why are they only being reincarnated in women? Are guys just overlooked in this world? If so, why? Do you understand it? I don't remember them ever saying that kaiju used to be the enemies of humanity in this. Maybe you're pulling that from, like, the prior show that it's based on or whatever. I don't remember them ever saying that.
I don't know that much about the Ultraman franchise. I'm more of Kamen Rider, but I'm not too sure what defines a kaiju as a single thing like Godzilla or a race of aliens. Because, where's it on my list? Oh, Zeton, Red King, and Elect King are some of the most reoccurring monsters, while you have the 3 girls who only showed up in 1967.
Let me also complain about the girls, too, because all of them only have a one-note, like, joke. The one is the emotionless one. The other one has a yaoi fetish or something like that. which she has to hide from everyone else because, oh my god, it's embarrassing. Another one is like, the ditzy meathead. You have Red King, whose whole shtick is, I'm really tough, but in my personal life, I'm really girly. And I get it. It's a short series. You don't have the time to develop characters. Unless you do something like you did in season 2 where you develop one character really heavily. Technically 2 if you want to count the main girl.
Season 1 was 5 minutes long per episode. Season 2 was 3.5 minutes long per episode. And I didn't get around to watching it, but I might over the course of the next few weeks. But they do have a movie that builds off of the second season, and you might like this fact of it, Brandon, that is animated normally. So they have a full-on budget for this. Not saying they had a shit budget for the short series, but it looks like human proportions for everybody.
I didn't have a problem with the art style. I had a problem with the way it was animated and everything else around that style.
Because at the end of season 2, you see this villainous woman walking across a bridge. She gives a evil line and says, "To be continued."
Literally the only thing I laughed at in this, because you told me about this before I had jumped into season 2, I think. You're like, oh man, this is great. I love this series. This one character is the greatest. And I'm just sitting here like, no. The only laugh I've gotten out of the entire series has been literally when they do their transformation sequence. The end of it, and this only happened once when it first was shown, the end of it sounds like it's a failure of a transformation as they go back from being actual proportions to suddenly being back into their chibi forms, their shitty chibi form version.
I didn't say it was hilarious. I said I had a few laughs, and Miku is best girl.
I don't like that. Look, man, it feels so cheap and chintzy, and it feels like it's empty calorie anime. It feels bad.
Just giving you a half concept of what these monsters are. Aki is based on Agira, who is a dinosaur from what I see in the picture when I was researching. Miku is Mikulus, who is an ogre, although I heard her last name is Ushimaru, so maybe there's a cow mixed in there, but I don't see that. And Rika is Windom, who is supposed to be a robot, but it's Ultraman, so I don't know. Zeton is a beetle. I can't see how Zeton's a beetle. Yeah, so I would say I didn't know what it was going to be like when I got into this, because I was like, oh, let's do another haiku anime. Let's find some short anime, and I just found this because it was short. I'm like, oh, this is a cute animation style. Let's just toss this in. But, okay, this is probably a big no for you, but I would say it's a decent for me, not that decent for you, Brandon, right?
I'm honestly really tempted to throw this into Casher and Sins levels just because everything other than the art style is garbage to me.
Oh, really? So this is one of your most hated anime?
I said I want to. I can't because at least this one's short. Unlike Casher and Sins, which I spent multiple hours just being like, there's got to be something here. It's got to be turning out great by the end, and then it just lies to you by the third to last episode.
But one thing that I did
I could tell what this was by the first episode immediately, that it was not going to be good.
The one thing that I did chuckle at too was the gym class scene where their senpai, Pigmon, says hey, I want to do gym class too. And she completely fails at everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she can't even do a single push-up. She can barely even tap the bottom line of the jump wall.
Did you even look at what Pigmon actually looks like?
No. Let me...
That's fucking awful.
I can't even tell what that's supposed to be.
It looks like they took coral and just attached bone limbs to it.
Oh, and speaking about what things look like, I did look at Red King. It looks like Godzilla if it was made of corn on the cob.
Hold on, I need to look up Red King now. Yeah, you know what? You're not even wrong.
Red King, like I said, has some of the most appearances. I think it may have had like 12 different variants over the past 50 years. So,
I mean, I'm looking at Zeton now, too. Yeah, I can see, like, the beetle kind of design to this. It honestly looks more like something that was out of Sentai than it does anything else, though.
and I think from like the few things I've seen, Kamen Rider and Sentai are more fighting, while Ultraman seems to be a little bit more wrestling with throws and like jumping around, kicking, rather than, hey, I'm gonna shoot you with my super laser gun. On to the final anime that you and I both found hilarious for one reason that we'll get into. Ryan, Super Dragon Ball Heroes.
Super Dragon Ball Heroes?
Yes. You probably have some idea of what it's about.
Oh, that's right. This was the one that jumped into, like, the 8-minute mark.
Mm-hmm.
Is it anything to do with the Dragon Ball series?
Correct.
Oh my god, how did he know that?
Probably the name.
No.
And that's all I know. That's all I'm going to guess.
Well, this is actually...
like a spin-off without any main characters?
No. This is actually a promotional anime, kind of promoting the Super Dragon Ball Heroes arcade game, which is available on Steam, and I'll get more into this next time, but I would say it's a really, really fun game. Because you pay for it up front, there is no paying for the gacha. The gacha is very fair, and I don't think there's even a way to have real world money for purchases. So you get everything in game.
I'll say one thing about this anime, alright? I don't like the execution of this anime, especially at the start, because a lot of it just feels weird. It doesn't make sense. We literally start off with, like, baiting Goku and Vegeta to come to what is called a prison planet, and by, like, episode 4, it's just gone.
6.
Was it 6?
Yeah, the first arc ends at episode 6.
Alright. It still feels really fast. Well, what was the thing about the prison planet? Was it actually a thing? Because, you know, Beerus and Weiss didn't mention that it wasn't a thing. So it had to have existed, like, and they had to have known about it. Because otherwise they'd be like, no, that's bullshit, that never existed. What are you doing? What are you talking about?
And this is based on the Super Dragon Ball Heroes Universal Mission manga. And what I was surprised to find out about this, since the game is about 10 years old, there were other Dragon Ball Heroes manga, including another Super Dragon Ball Heroes manga called The Dark Demon Realm Mission, which came out in 2006, while this manga came out in 2008.
Basically, if you want to think of it, this is probably the best way to think about it for someone that doesn't really know or haven't watched it yet. The best way to describe it is it's a crossover from all the Dragon Ball franchises into some weird and, like, nonsensical, I'm going to say, ways. Like for instance, we literally get Cooler from the movies shows up in here, and he's completely non-canon. He does not exist at all in the series. He is only a movie villain and will only ever be a movie villain. But they do things in this anime that would be really cool to see developed into a full-on story in the main canon. Like, there's a character in here who has, like, evil ki that causes people that get infected by it to go berserk. That would be an awesome villain to see as a full-blown villain in the show. Then you have Cooler that's in here. And this is, like, there are ways you can take Cooler based on what we know from the original, like, run of Dragon Ball Super. You could totally make him officially canon if you wanted to. By, like, making him the Frieza from Universe 3. And because Universe 3 is super technology, we could even bring in the second, or, like, the second movie that Cooler's in, where he becomes Mecha Cooler by merging with, like, a parasitic kind of machine life form. We could totally make Cooler and Meta Cooler legitimately canon based on Dragon Ball Super's, 12, 13 other universes that are there, that exist?
12, I think, in total.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So Universe 3 is like Super Technology World, right? He's Frieza from Universe 3. Done. We can make this happen. There's, like, we even get, like, GT's Tuffles are back, and, like, new versions of Baby from GT. Fucking Vegeta gets infected and just becomes Baby Vegeta, except he's blue, not yellow.
Oh, and if you're wondering, yes, Cooler does go golden. He's like, my brother did that? Oh, yeah. I can do it too. Boom.
Yeah, see, that's one of the poorly executed parts where it's just like, hey, I heard my brother could do this, so fuck it, why don't I try? Done. I got it. We're golden. Literally, we're golden. That shit's annoying. We get to see, like, Goku Super Saiyan Blue fights Goku Super Saiyan 4, because apparently we have the Xenoverse saga coming, or Xenoverse games coming in here with, like, Time Patrol characters.
And can we just talk about Dio? I mean, Hearts.
Dio. That's right. Yeah. Hearts Brando. Let's just call him that. Because he's literally Dio.
From the JoJo franchise.
Yes. He doesn't stop time. He has gravity powers that basically do the same thing to anyone he wants. It basically freezes them in place so they can't do shit. The only difference is they're aware of what's happening.
Another reason why we're calling him Hearts Brando, he is voiced by the guy who does Dio in the Japanese dub, and he has a crazy, elaborate fashion sense.
Mm-hmm. He's got, like, the curled-toed boots. Like Dio's whole theme in Part 3 was, like, hearts all over his body, including on his stand. And this guy's name is just straight up Hearts. Yeah, this guy has a scar on his chest. Dio had a scar around his neck. He's just Dio. Because he's just, like, meticulously evil for being meticulously evil. And I love it.
This series has been coming out online since May of that's the manga. It's been coming out July of 2018. Basically, one episode every 5 or so weeks. So, a little more than monthly.
I will say this, though. Unlike Kaiju Girls, the animation in this series just got better and better with every episode that was added in. Like, we were getting some really cool composition shots by, like, where we ended off. It's still ongoing, by the way. But we are getting close to, like, what feels like the conclusion, at least to this arc, I guess. But there were some really cool shots. Like, honestly, we were getting Dragon Ball Super Broly levels of shots. Like, not the first-person shot we got there, but, like, comparable stuff. Like, it looked really good for what's supposed to be, like, an 8-minute short. Not movie quality, but very close. Like, the high levels of Dragon Ball Super anime styles.
And from what I've played in the game so far, it even takes the original Dragon Ball with Kid Goku and shoves that in, it seems to be a little bit Fate Go-esque, where there's anomalies in the Dragon Ball timeline, and you need to resolve them.
I mean, that is just Dragon Ball Xenoverse for the most part, too.
Oh.
That's the same concept. You're playing Time Patrol characters that are going back in time and fixing what the main villain's doing to fuck with the timeline.
And
like, I don't know if you've run into like fuck, I forget the other one's name, but one's name is Toa.
No, I haven't encountered any main big villain yet.
Okay. I mean, they're supposed to be like relatives of I don't know if you remember Diabora from the Boo saga.
I have fought against him once.
They're relatives of him. He was Diabora was the Demon King of Hell, basically. They were siblings. I believe the one is his sister. Toa and Mira, that's what their names were, I think.
I think I may have a Toa card available.
Yeah, they were, Toa, I believe, is some kind of weird creation of Mira's, unless I'm getting the names reversed. He was some kind of weird creation of hers, and she's the sister of,
Diabora.
Diabora, that's it. Fucking brain's not working. Yes, she's the sister of Diabora, and she wants revenge, essentially, and by doing so, she's having Toa, at least in the original Xenoverse. I did not play 2, because I didn't exactly enjoy the combat in the first one. Anyway, basically she's having him absorb, like, other people's energies and incorporate it into himself, and learn from them, you know. So that way he can just be the ultimate thing and just kill everything that she wants.
Oh, and for some reason, Zamuso's back.
Oh yeah, Zamasu. You know, the guy that the Omni King just obliterated? Yeah, we're not going to explain how he came back, but he's back.
Oh my god. So Ryan, what's your thoughts on Super Dragon Ball Heroes?
Oh wait, I forgot. He's not back. He dies in, like, the last episode we saw.
Oh yeah.
He's just gone. Apparently being a god isn't enough.
I don't know, I might check it out. I like Dragon Ball Z, so. And
would he need to have watched Super to know this, or?
No.
There is Ultra Instinct, though.
I mean, all you need to know is that there are transformations that exist that happened in Super, and are at least, like, are explained more in Super, but they're explained enough in this, I think, to just give you a pass. Like, all you need to know is, okay, that form's stronger than that form, cool.
And that Vegeta has, like, some light blue God's Super Saiyan.
Like, well, the only other thing I had a problem with, too, is that a lot of these just start with them, and this is, like, where I think the execution is poor. A lot of them just go in with, like, oh, we're just going to fight him in our base Super Saiyan. Why would I ever transform into something more? I'm an idiot. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, you could have solved this already.
But that's Goku. It's what he does.
Yeah, but he usually powers himself up when he's like, okay, cool. This is a problem. So I'm just going to get stronger and see what happens. He does do that, yeah, but he doesn't stay in those forms. He generally starts scaling himself up as necessary. The problem with Vegeta when he's fighting the two Tuffle characters is that he just stays in Super Saiyan and doesn't change it all ever. Even though we get, like, an awesome shot out of, like, what is it? I want to say it was Dragon Ball Tenkaichi 3, or Budokai Tenkaichi 3, where he just, like, shoots off a giant-ass beam and it just blows out past the planet. Like, fuck anything else that gets in the way. Like, it's literally out of that game. Where it's just, the blast is so huge, it's just coming off of the planet. It's like a fourth to a third the size of the planet. Like, width-wise. Like, it's massive. For no reason.
Wow. I'm just trying to visualize this from the Dragon Ball Z concept of things.
I mean, at that point, like, you're throwing that out there, right? If you want to take realistic shit into account, that's literally going to start making the planet spin faster in a certain direction. It's a fucking booster at that point. You're pushing it out there. It's so fucking massive.
So I guess this wraps up this episode. Come back next week when it's time for lunch.
I can't wait to go and hunt down my lunch.
Ooh, delicious.
I can't wait to rewatch this one. I loved this one when I first watched it.
So I guess that's it. See you next time.
See you. Bye.